The Brompton G Line has finally arrived after many leaked images and speculation on social media. It's great to see Brompton finally releasing a bike to try and rival my beloved Brompton M Line, which has tackled mountains and became the first Brompton to conquer the gruesome Battle on the Beach earlier this year. However, I have to say, I'm disappointed. Out of all the people who got to review the bike, Brompton never asked me. Maybe I'm just not qualified enough or lucky enough to own a bike shop, but I honestly believe I would have been able to give a great comparison review due to my experience with the Brompton M Line and my off-road Brompton experience. However, we move on. Today we talk and discuss all things G Line, if Brompton like it or not. I've put together a short introduction to highlight some of the new design elements while also displaying all three colours it is manufactured in. So sit back, relax and cue the intro.
He's the Brompton Guy!
Finally, Brompton truly have produced something different which goes against statements from the CEO, Will Butler Adams. Will has often joked about the latest trends, fads, hardtails, softails, and how complicated other bike manufacturers make it to just make a bike.
And we haven't come out with millions of different variants. We haven't come out with the hardtail, the softtail, the gravel, the big wheel, the fat wheel, the thin wheel, the this trend, the that trend. We've just made it better. And the brand isn't the sexy logo. It's this. It's the bike.
However, with the introduction of the G Line, I think it's fair to say Brompton is following suit. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. In fact, I endorse innovation and change, so I'm excited to see the bike in action. But I personally have a lot of questions for Will about the change of strategy and what Brompton's future looks like in his eyes. Anywho, as you know from the intro, I'm not the first one sadly to break this news, which is unfortunate, but I've had time to watch multiple reviews and I want to discuss a couple talking points of some things that reviewers haven't talked about and I feel are interesting. These being the fact the G Line has a weight limit of 130 kilograms, while the 16-inch line has a weight limit of 110 kilograms. This means that the bike would be more suitable for heavier riders. At first, I thought they might have increased the cargo load limit from the 10 kilograms, seeing as this is a do-it-all bike, but unfortunately, the 10 kilogram cargo load limit still applies, which is limiting for touring, but good to see this bike can reach more people due to the 20 kilogram weight limit increase. Well done, Brompton. This is also the first Brompton to establish the geometry measurement system for bike fit. This means Brompton now actually have a bike that will fit riders correctly who are 6 foot to 6'6". While this may seem like a little detail, fit is a major issue on a non-standard size 16-inch Brompton for us taller folk, and even more so when you add long distance into the equation. This is also the first Brompton that can come standard with the telescopic seat post and has the longest reach ever on a Brompton due to the redesign of the new stem. They've also addressed the roller wheels finally. Brompton have updated the advanced roller wheels to have bearings rather than bushings. Almost all Brompton users complained about the standard roller wheels, and now I reckon from users customising their Brompton, they've actually finally get the message and have released a wheel I actually think will work well when pushing a Brompton on a roller rack. However, it still remains unclear to me how you roll it without the rack, because the 20-inch wheel and the roller wheels touch the ground at the same time. Not seeing any information on this, but assume they expect us to tilt the bike back slightly and roll the rear two roller wheels themselves while ajar on the bike. Another key oversight I feel they didn't think about was the park or brake mode. With the new design of the rear triangle, the seat post no longer touches the ground, so while parked on its roller rack with its awesome new bearings, it would be flying all over a train or in the boot of your car, as the seat post rubber stopper will no longer act as a handbrake. It's little things like this I feel get missed because the designers don't actually use the bike the same way us Brompton fans do. Finally, before I push on with the specs, I have to talk about the fold. The fold is what makes a Brompton a Brompton. While they have obviously attempted to keep the same style fold, I have to say, it looks awful. When folded with the kink stem, it looks like it's poorly designed, and the rack, in my opinion, is just too short looking for the bike. They could have easily made the rack bigger to help make it suit the bike a little more. While I've not folded it myself yet, I've read 3 different reviews all saying the fold is difficult compared to the 16-inch design. These are just a couple of the top highlights I feel are important because nobody else has really talked about them, but let's discuss why Brompton even seen the need to make the G Line. Brompton state they need a more robust design because users were pushing the current version of their bike to the limit. And not necessarily in a bad way. People were doing some amazing challenges on them, but the 16-inch bikes weren't designed or optimised for that punishment. They've also noticed a trend of more people pushing for this style of all-terrain Brompton. I think they might be referencing folk like me and seeing how popular the work of Ben Cooper is. They are also hoping for new clients with this bike because the style is different from its traditional bike. Brompton state they've built it just from themselves. At the end of the day, they are a company of passionate people who enjoy bikes. They quote, "Our staff here too always wanted something cool to ride." However, my thought there is, do they not already see the bikes they make as cool? The bike itself took around 4 years to design and get ready for the market, while also having a design brief of, and I quote, "the best folding bike out there." Being redesigned from the ground up with an area of focus on geometry and the bike having 20-inch wheels was a must. The second point of focus was that iconic fold, which is Brompton's signature. So it has me somewhat thinking, how well does it fold? Thirdly, they've stated they wanted a bike that was more competitive with a non-folding bike that gives that big bike feel. I have to point out the obvious here, and if your design goal is the best folding bike out there, any Brompton or folding bike owner would surely agree it would need to be spec'd with a roll-off hub and not an 8-speed Alpine hub. I believe the true design goal was design a 20-inch bike at an affordable price that helps people under the age of 40 buy into the brand. Also, it would be rude to not mention that the fold was the second area of focus, which really shows, in my opinion, Brompton losing its roots of creating a bike that folds well and has a low profile rather than a brief of best folding bike out there. With all that said, let's actually talk about what Brompton have done with the G Line and what makes it different from other Brompton lines. To keep this simple, and because the current lines are fairly similar, I'm going to compare this as a 16-inch versus a 20-inch Brompton. Firstly, the frame has been completely redesigned and is made of steel on the main frame and triangle, with the stem and forks being aluminium. The brake system has changed from rim brakes to hydraulic disc brakes with 140mm rotors, but the electric gets a 160mm rotor at the back for extra stopping power. The wheels have increased from 16-inch to 20-inch for a more full bike-sized experience. The new handlebars on the G Line offer a more mountain bike style riding posture with a whopping 650mm bars compared to the standard 540 bars with any of the 16 inches. The G Line comes with the ergonomic styled rubber grips fitted as standard to compete with the amazing third-party brand Ergon. The G Line has two sets of mountain bosses for accessories located on the stem and fork, while the 16-inch doesn't have any. The G Line comes with the wide platform pedals, giving you a larger base for grip and power transfer. The seat clamp has also been tweaked and redesigned for the G Line, along with the rear suspension block. The 20-inch will come with an 8-speed Shimano Alpine hub option only, while the 16-inch has a 1, 3, 4 and 12-speed option with better gearing ratios, as silly as the shifting style may be. The electric version of the G Line offers a 4-speed derailleur option along with its 3 electric hub gears. The 20-inch is sold in small, medium and large, while the 16-inch is sold in short, medium or high. These are the standout obvious changes in my opinion, but as stated, the whole bike is practically redesigned, so subtle little changes are all over the bike and truly make it a Brompton without a direct comparison. Well, unless you want to check out my M-Line video, which is linked above. Finally, the part you've been waiting for. What do I think about the G Line? As a current 20-inch Brompton M-Line owner, would I recommend or could I see myself getting one? While I haven't tested it yet, I can firstly approve of the redesigned frame geometry with taller people in mind. That is one of the biggest problems with my M-Line, because big long days are hard work on a bike, so I think they've done a really good job with that. I also love Brompton have finally released something that is risky. A bike that could completely flop as it steers away from what their current clients want and an obvious attempt to lure the younger generation. My fear here is 9 out of 10 Brompton users just want a bike that folds for short, easier rides and not a bike that's heavier and larger to cart around. I mean, I'm the odd one that loves pushing my Brompton to the limit and on stupid events, but not everyone that rides a Brompton does. I also have to mention the price. It's more expensive than a P-Line and realistically, less practical than a P-Line. I rate my P-Line so highly, and that's due to the lightweight and rapid performance. A truly refined, practical commuting machine. Realistically, the G Line is just a bit of a gimmick. It still looks odd compared to a standard bike, and younger people just don't like that, nor could I see them buying it at the starting price point. As a 20-inch Brompton owner with what I would say is the better 11-speed Alpine Di2 hub, I hate commuting on it. It's slow, heavy and clunky compared to the P-Line, so you will really want to consider that if you're not just wanting this bike as a play toy like my 20-inch Brompton is. Let's be real, the G Line is a weekend fun item that comes out for special occasions and to show people you're a little bonkers. I do hope this bike does well for Brompton and look forward to see where this journey takes the company. More importantly, I'm looking forward to see with the CEO to talk in public about the bike to hear his views. The one area the bike will do well in is touring. It looks robust and rugged with a decent internally geared hub, but also offers good add-ons and storage solutions tourists will love. They might not be thrilled with the overall weight of the bike, but the better bike fit options along with the 20-inch wheels should go a long way. So, would I buy the bike? I thought hard about it and I can't bring myself to spend £2,500 for what would be a fun toy Brompton for me that would be good for 4 to 5 trips a year. But the only bike I need to complete my Brompton collection is an electric, and might consider the electric G Line as the rear hub motor interests me, as I would plan to use it for longer touring adventures that require bigger distance and maybe a hotel stay. If I wasn't currently moving house, I might consider it at release, but would need to let the bank balance recover before I can drop that type of money on a very fancy toy. Brompton, if you happen to see this, please consider me for a test review, and I promise I'll be gentle with it. And with that, let's wrap up this G Line video. If you've enjoyed this content, please give it a thumbs up, as it really helps promote the video. And if you know someone that works at Brompton, please feel free to tag them in this. But as always, thanks for tuning into The Brompton Guy. Sorry for being late to the party with this content, and hope you have a pleasant day.
He's the Brompton Guy.